Take 3 Gen Xers, give them a topic about music, movies, pop culture, or whatever, and how it relates to them growing up in the 70s and 80s as part of Generation X. Add one person from another generation to see if there's any common ground, and you've got Solve for Gen X, starting now. So it's really just me here right now. Oh, they're frozen again. They're frozen again. Then if I knew the next chord, I would go to another chord. I'll wait till you come in and I'll do that again.
It's very...
That's very cool.
I just did a whole bit with this lightsaber. You missed it.
Just for
You
yourself.
have so many great toys, man. As we Gen Xers find ourselves solidly in the second half of our lives, solidly in that second.
Oh, God.
Our memories of those first 10 to 15 years in the 70s to early 80s can sometimes feel more imagined than real. Am I wrong? Maybe I am. As we age, our memories, I contend that as we age, our memories seem less and less reliable. For instance,
Yes.
did we truly used to wake up early on Saturday mornings to enjoy fantastical worlds of animated fantasy? Or were those worlds nothing more than an extension of some Friday night fever dream? If you, like us, are a Gen Xer, it seems a fair question. So please join us today on today's episode of Solving for Gen X as we discuss...
It's just Solve for Gen X.
What did I say?
Solving.
Yeah, I wanted to say that a couple episodes ago, but just pick it up. Nobody will know. Just pick it up. It's fine.
Okay. Maybe we should just cancel this episode.
No.
Well, we're just trying to intro us into a discussion of the cartoons that we can't believe were real.
Solve for Gen X.
It was the age of parachute pants.
Skinny ties, neon headbands.
We rode our bikes, was helmet free.
A nicotine from a vending machine.
Decades, pastimes, memories, and master song. Solve for Gen X. Solve for Gen X. Solve for Gen X. Solve for Gen X.
Yeah, I'm Nate Smith,
All right.
Gen X 1971.
Wait, can we start again? I'm sorry. Can we start?
Yeah, let me try to get mine clean without you saying stuff to that. Just for editing purposes.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Not because you don't have great stuff to say in the middle of talking. I am. I am Nate Stark, Gen X 1971.
I'm Ashley Ward, Gen X 1972.
I'm Matt Vogel, Gen X 1970.
Old man.
Let's
Take a look at
Not
yourself.
So, this is like an episode about what is this?
Well,
Cartoons that shouldn't exist, or what is this?
This was my thought. I forget what the little thing said exactly, but it was
It
something
was like
along the
cartoons
lines of-
we can't believe were real.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I did not approach it like, oh, this is us attacking our experience with cartoons growing up. I attacked it like, this is our experience of literally, like, these are the cartoons we sort of remember, but, like, forgot or can't. I don't know how to get more literal than the actual thing.
Yeah. No, I think that's cool.
That's good.
So, yeah, I'm not, like, there's a lot of territory to be discussed that I am not going to go after right now.
I think that's fine.
Okay.
Totally fine.
And I can get us going.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, do it.
My first thought, and it was Matt Vogel, you and I bonded on this in the last episode, was the cartoon Battle of the Planets.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I like. We
No
just
memory.
yeah. Ashley does not
I
remember.
have no
this.
memory of it at all.
And I literally was like, "Is this? I know this is something I remember, but I don't feel like anyone else I've ever talked to remembers this thing." And it was definitely anime. This was the first time I'd ever seen anything that I would describe as anime, and even like it seems like anime has had this like popular resurgence. like in the last 20 years, if you want to feel really old.
Yeah.
But like people talk about anime and they're into anime, and I see it online. And I'm like, is that what Battle of the Planets was? Because it seems like this is the style.
But I didn't know that.
Right.
Certainly not. It was just a cartoon.
Yeah. At the time, we would have never called it. We love this anime show.
No.
But I do think that is on the Mount Rushmore of anime coming to America. Would be Battle of the Planets, G-Force.
That's what I knew it as. I knew it as G-Force. I didn't know it as Battle of the Planets.
I would love to see
And that's
an anime version of Coming to America. Now that you mentioned it,
That would be amazing.
Well, I think maybe it went under both titles, Battle of the Planets.
I don't know.
And that was part of my question. Was like, was there a thing called Battle of the Planets? And is that the same thing as G-Force? G-Force was awesome, though.
I loved
G-Force
it. I love the ships.
And well, we talked about it last time because of Casey Kasem was one of the voices.
Yes, that's right.
They had the spaceships, and it was like it's sort of like I think it went into like American whatever networks picked it up because they were like, oh, syndication based on the Star Wars popularity of Star Wars in the 70s. We think this is going to be popular with kids. And it was very popular with me. I love that they could be like anywhere, and all of a sudden their little things would ring, and they'd know it's time for them to spring into action and join G-Force.
Yeah, they kind of like they had regular kind of people outfits, right? Yeah. And like maybe bell bottoms, maybe
something very 70s,
is what
maybe
like very tight fit clothing. The gentlemen did have, and then their
Justice League.
It is very Justice League.
It is, yeah. And they would gather, but then they had these kind of like hawk-like or bird-like.
There were 4 different ones. There was a woman, and then their school spaceship broke up into other vehicles.
Yes,
like a motorcycle, and I think the Casey Kasem boys know. I don't remember. There's like a heavy guy named Tiny, of course. I think.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about
Tiny. He drove the main ship. And
which I loved that main
motorcycle thing that I think the woman drove or something, and then there was a cool like spaceship.
There's another ship.
They all would like go into like pulse mode or something sometimes.
Oh gosh, I can't remember really.
And here's a freaky thing that in my research that I was trying to remind myself what all was going on with this cartoon, because I have not seen it since I was 10 years old or whatever, or younger maybe. 7 probably. Their arch nemesis was there's this like bad guy villain, but that bad guy villain answered to just a head. That was like a disembodied head that was like the main mastermind villain. And I realized that in a pitch for an animated show I was trying to sell, my main villain was a disembodied. It was based on Ashley's and I tried to like take our Disney World experience and turn it into something like where an evil entity was actually running everything and So
it's very Wizard of Oz too.
Yes, it is very Wizard of Oz. So
I don't remember the main villain, but when you said villain, I suddenly had like a picture in my head of like somebody and they were laughing and they were like ha ha ha, ha. And like in that anime way, like they're kind of like not really I don't know, it's like really detailed teeth or something. And
a lot of times those anime moments seem frozen.
Zoltar was the main.
That was the disembodied head.
No,
weird.
That was maybe that was the disembodied head. I think that was just a bad guy who answered to the disembodied head. But this is all like a fever dream, right? This is like this stuff was real, I guess.
It was, and I remember going home, and that was like in the 3:00 hour, whatever it was, where in Kansas City. That was like it was definitely syndicated. It was a weekday thing. I remember loving that show. There was a robot on it that I loved that kind of had it was like an R2D2 type.
Oh right, like a Twiggy
robot, maybe
like a Twiggy kind of thing from.
Kind of, but he had like I feel like he had like. It was almost the shape of an R2D2 type thing, and there was something about underwater. Maybe it was their base underwater. I just remember like seeing there were visuals in my head that I'm seeing of like they're underwater, and they kind of did some cool stuff with the however you shoot underwater looking stuff.
Right.
Like it looked like they were kind of moving through something. I don't know.
think
it was so cool. I loved that
one of
show.
them went underwater or something.
Submersible craft.
I thought two other things. One of them is there was an animated Godzilla show. And the reason that I remember it so well is that Godzilla had a sidekick, Godzuki.
It was his nephew.
Is his nephew?
Godzilla would be, the music was like this big, like operatic, like, and Godzuki.
Hey, Godzuki had little wings and he was this little guy.
Godzilla. He was like little and he was kind of funny.
Yeah, he was the comic relief for sure.
And like, but yeah, the music was this like big sort of anthemic, operatic Godzilla, but then they would introduce Godzuki and it was very like playful and fun.
And I remember we would play on the playground, and I would play with like, and it's like the playground was like third grade playground, second grade. It was always like kind of flirting with girls and like, but in a like a fighting kind of way. That really hurt. That hurt.
Easy. She's very delicate.
And I remember we would play Godzilla, and
please keep that up for the rest of the podcast.
I would always
keep that up.
we would play Godzilla, and I would play Godzuki. I would be Godzuki.
Oh, you'd be Godzuki, the comic relief.
Were you small?
Even back then.
I was smaller because we had a second and third grade combined recess. So I think I was playing with third graders, and I was also a year younger than everyone else. So I think at that time I really was probably smaller than everyone else. And I would play Godzuki, and I found that the girls they took to Godzuki. They
scored a lot of chicks that way.
More than they like Godzuki, I think they like my portrayal of Godzuki.
I'm sure that's what it was.
As a child who did not know you, I was obsessed with Godzuki. Thought it was so funny, and was like I would have never watched the Godzilla cartoon but for Godzuki.
It was all about Godzuki.
Did it talk? Did Godzuki speak words? Did Godzilla?
For whatever reason, my memory is that he had kind of a little New Yorkie accent. He was like a little New Yorkie dinosaur. I don't know if that's right, but
oh yeah.
Hey, I'm stomping here.
Yeah,
just kind of
something like that. It was a Hanna-Barbera jam. Most of all these cartoons we're going to be thinking of are all Hanna-Barbera.
There were so many of those.
But a lot of these also were like cartoons from the 60s that we were watching reruns. And that only had like a season or two. But that felt like, like, have I seen all of them? Clearly we probably have. But okay, so the last one I will talk about that I had forgotten until I started like scrambling my memory for this topic is Johnny Quest.
Yeah, Johnny Quest.
Johnny Quest was the coolest.
Yeah, it was. That was definitely a 60s thing, right? I feel like that was in the 60s.
That we would watch probably maybe even after school.
Yeah.
Thing syndication, but maybe Saturday mornings too.
Yeah. I remember Johnny Quest.
Johnny Quest had Ray Spannon, who was like the James Bond kind of dude.
Yeah.
And I loved it because it was like an action cartoon, and it's Hanna-Barbera. Yeah. It was an action cartoon, and Ray Spannon was like this James Bond kind of guy. And Johnny Quest was voiced by Tim Matheson.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Really quickly on voices, just to interject, the voice of Godzuki was a guy named Don Messick, whose roles were, it just went away, were Scooby-Doo, Bam Bam, Astro on the Jetsons, Muttley in Wacky Races, Boo Boo Bear, and Ranger Smith on the Yogi Bear Show, Sebastian the Cat and Josie and the Pussycats, Gears, Ratchet, and Scavenger in the Transformers, Papa Smurf and Azrael in the Smurfs.
Wow.
Hampton J. Pig in Tiny Toon Adventures, and Dr. Benton Quest in Johnny Quest.
What?
Was Godzuki?
That was the same voice as Godzuki.
That was the dad.
So I don't know.
Was the dad the white-haired guy, or was the dad the guy with
the white-haired guy was Ray Spannon, who drove.
That's Ray Spannon.
He was charged with. He was like Johnny Quest's bodyguard. The thing of it was, Johnny Quest, and there's only one season of Johnny Quest. Can you believe that?
What?
Yeah. And
that's crazy.
I know, right? The idea was that Johnny Quest, I think they tried to reboot it later on and stuff, but initially, like the reruns we watched were one season's worth. Johnny Quest's mother died, and there were some bad guys after Johnny Quest, and so Ray Spannon had to protect Johnny Quest because he was somehow kind of valuable, or bad guys were after him, and they'd already got his mother. And so his dad was like raising
What an
him,
intense cartoon.
right?
Pretty heavy
That's why
for
I think
kids.
it was so great to watch. All right.
Well, I'll just kind of latch on to what you're saying there, because when you said Johnny Quest
Yeah.
and those cartoons of the 60s, I had forgotten all about Adam Ant. Do you remember Adam
The
Ant?
singer?
No, the character, a little tiny ant.
No.
And he wears like a white helmet. Up and Adam Ant would be what he would say. And he was like this tiny little ant, and he would be
Ringing
super
the
strong.
bell.
And
Is that Hanna-Barbera?
it says Hanna-Barbera, 1965.
Hanna-Barbera owned all of it, man.
Man, they really did have a huge piece of the cartoon pie.
They were, yeah.
Wow.
That was what I thought of. It was Adam Ant when you mentioned that, and then there was those fractured fairy tales with that. All those like old, they felt very old even when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But I loved like the fractured fairy
It looked
tales.
very Jetsons-y, like the people's faces.
Yeah,
Like had that
they
like
did.
angular thing, like the Jetsons did.
Yeah, and it felt like it was that all part of the Rocky and Bullwinkle show or something, which I
Wait,
also
Fractured
loved.
Fairy Tales was?
Yeah, that's what he said.
I feel like it
That's
was. Yeah,
different than Hanna-Barbera. Jetsons was.
It is.
Oh, you're saying it just looked like them.
I was just saying, yeah, like
Yeah,
had the
there was a similar style, right? Because of that
that
60s.
kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but
60s.
so one of the things that I loved to watch was the Laugh Olympics.
Oh man.
Do you remember Laugh Olympics? I love that because you got all the characters from the other TV show.
And Muttley was such a good character in that one. Like,
yeah.
That must
and I
have come on
love
the
that.
heels of Battle of the Network Stars.
it had
That's what I think. I think it had to be that
so
in
good,
reflection
yeah.
of the Battle of the Network Stars, which also some awesome stuff to watch.
So good.
Here's a thought I did have. There were a couple of shows that I did wonder, maybe that wouldn't exist today. Like Hong Kong Phooey.
Yep.
Yes, for sure.
With Scatman Crothers playing the canine kung fu expert. And I'm not sure that would like be around today.
Hong Kong
That
too,
was
yeah.
a great theme song
Right.
too. Hong
Oh, it was so good.
Hey, number one super guy.
Well, with Hong Kong Phooey, they paired with Godzilla
Oh, they did?
at some point. Yeah,
Like as a power hour?
yeah, like they would like keep pairing. They would keep Godzilla alive by pairing it with the popular
Wow.
cartoons of whatever.
Smart idea.
Yeah.
Smart idea.
Love.
Here's another thing that I thought about that I loved. I loved cartoons, but I also really loved the Sid and Marty Krofft shows.
Oh yeah.
Sigmund and the Sea Monster, HR Puff and stuff, maybe a little less.
They were
but
super trippy.
I love
that was super trippy.
Bugaloos were so fun. Phyllis
Bugaloos, I don't know that I watched that one.
Bugaloos. It was like more like
Yeah.
sort of early 20s teen looking people, and then it was like Martha Ray was like the evil lady in that one. I
And then we
think.
had this talk when we talked about the cereals, how McDonald's like stole all of their
Oh yeah,
Marty Krofft characters.
Yeah.
that idea. Yeah, I loved Land of the Lost.
Yes, obsessed.
That kind of stuff. Like it wasn't quite cartoons, but they had dudes in Sleestack outfits or
Right.
whatever those guys were, which was kind of cool.
Very fantastical. I loved cartoons. The ones that like stood out to me that fit into this category were ones that were based off of live action real people and things like Mr. T, the cartoon, where Mr.
Right.
T, for reasons never explained that I recall, was a gymnastics coach, or at least he was drove the college or high school gymnastics team around, but also they solved crimes at all the
Okay.
gymnastics teams.
Yeah.
And he had a van.
It was this
That is weird.
formula that the Godzilla
It was.
that
It
formula
was
too. They were all like
Yeah.
they'd solve a different crime.
It was very much Scooby-Doo formula, but
And the Harlem
with
Globetrotters.
gymnastics.
Harlem Globetrotters. Yeah,
Gymnastics
they did
very
that.
much baked into it. So it was basically like they were like capitalizing on the A team, the 1984 Olympics where Mary Lou Retton won
Wow.
the medal.
and Carl Lewis.
Well, but that was gymnastics. Carlos was a
Yeah.
No,
Like,
but that was that
was,
Olympic.
Oh
but I'm
my
just saying,
gosh.
like Mary Lou Retton, gymnastics became this huge thing, and so it's like all these
Oh
kids
my
in a
gosh.
van with Mr. T,
That's so
who
crazy.
also had a full size doll. Mr. T, he's got a
Oh, he did.
full
That's right.
haircut and he's 12 inches high. Mr. T, he's got a something, something, and a mean look in his eye. He's got
Wow.
arms that move and fists that say, you better move your booty right out of the way. I think I made that part up. The rest of it is real.
I'm very impressed, though, that you remember that jingle. That's amazing.
Yeah, Mr. T cartoon, which I had to watch because I love the A-Team, and so I was like, absolutely, we'll continue on my journey with Mr. T on the animated version, unrelated
Yeah,
to the A-Team.
Similarly, there was a Star Trek cartoon too, and I loved Star Trek. But then there was like a cartoon version that I'm guessing must have been the real people. But why didn't they just shoot?
That wasn't real. You just made that up in your imagination.
What, you mean Star Trek?
The Star Trek cartoon? That was not real.
Yeah, absolutely real.
You're crazy.
I'm not crazy.
The other one was a TV show called Punky Brewster, starring Soleil Moonfry, which was a small child who was basically adopted.
Wait, you remember this, don't you?
I don't remember the cartoon. I remember the show.
The TV show.
There was a cartoon?
There was a cartoon. So the TV show was, she was a child who was very flamboyantly dressed and was real precocious, adopted by an old curmudgeonly man who she softened his heart. Mm-hmm. And that was the TV show.
Punky.
The cartoon veered away from that, and it was more about Punky and her friends.
Solving mysteries.
Solving mysteries in a gymnastic team. They were going from town to town.
That one had a song that was like, Punky Brewster, I always want you here with me. It was very poppy, but it had a character on it. And as far as I remember, it was like, she was very much about rainbows. So it was like rainbows would happen, but they had a magical character on it called Glomer, which was just looked like a Furby, but this was pre-Furby. And he talked like this, Punky, let's go. We can do that.
Was this at the same time that Punky was doing the real human show, or was it after?
I believe it was. I don't know for a fact, but I think it was, again, capitalizing on the popularity of
after
one.
A couple years of being really popular.
To go into, hey, let's expand this. This feels like it. And I mean, for
make it
a
animated.
show that makes sense as a cartoon, it wasn't that far off. She dressed like in rainbows all over and was very much like this spunky kid, and it made.
I think you meant Punky Kid.
Shut up. So those are ones that really stood out as absolutely what what happened. But then another one, the more I thought about it, the more has worked something in my brain, which is the Smurfs, which I was obsessed with and were a juggernaut of a cartoon.
Yeah, they were huge.
We had so many little Smurf dolls, the little ones that were made of that hard clay or resin or whatever, but then also stuffed animals. Loved them. And they all had these very tropey things. So there's Papa Smurf, who was the head of them all. And there's Handy, who was a handyman. Hefty, who was strong. Brainy, who was smart. Clumsy, who was clumsy. A little on the nose. But then what was really crazy was there was only one girl.
Only one.
And it was Smurfette.
Yeah.
And there was always sort of hints of romance, but there was no romance really. And but it was also
it wasn't about romance.
It was so hard to understand what this world was that they were putting forth. It was I think it really influenced my life to sort of want to be the lone girl in the group of dudes. It definitely made that appealing as a way of being to me.
So when you were watching the Smurfs, were you consciously thinking to yourself, why is there only one girl? Or you just accepted it?
I think a mix. I think sometimes I would think man, that's so crazy that there's no other girls. Because especially I grew up with a sister who was really close in age with me, so I was always with another girl. Mm-hmm. But there was also something really appealing about being the only one.
Being the only get a lot of attention that way,
and she did.
Yeah.
So for Gen X,
there's a couple of Generation Alphas in the house.
You introduce yourself.
I'm Jaydee. And I'm Willa.
And so, we've been talking about cartoons, and our whole show is about how people from different generations have different experiences with things. But when we were kids, obviously we had cartoons, and when you're kids and you have cartoons. But we want to hear like what's
So,
maybe
for example, when we were kids, cartoons were a really big deal.
huge deal. Huge.
Did he just scare you, by the way? Did his voice just frighten you?
Happens to me every day.
So we're wondering how that has changed.
Or if it stayed the same.
Yeah. So why don't we start with Willa? Why don't you tell us how? JD, do you need to go first?
You're scared her again.
Okay. Well, why don't you start with how much of your life has been dedicated to cartoons? Cartoons, something you
All of it.
or there's something that was just kind of like you watched them sometimes, but you weren't really super obsessed with them at any point in your life.
Well, when we were kids, like not too long ago actually, but Dad would be making us breakfast, and he'd just turn on Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, and it's just something to
Mickey
watch.
Mouse
We never
Clubhouse,
really loved it. It was
Okay.
but
JD says
It's boring.
but I mean,
Yeah.
we never really loved it, but it was just something to watch.
I like the black.
So it's just a time passer.
What's
you like
that, JD?
the black and white
The black and white version is better.
of Mickey Mouse?
I also like the black and white version.
Interesting. What was better about the black and white version? It was
It-
more violent.
No.
It was just more interesting.
Yeah,
Because it was oh, brush your teeth 5 seconds a day, and
Okay.
10 and 9.
The black and white version, they don't talk too much, and they're the voices in the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. It's kind of annoying.
Oh. Okay.
I had a birthday party themed off a cartoon. It was a Disney princess, Elena of Avalon, I think. I really like that one.
So movie animation.
Well, I think that was just a TV show, wasn't it?
Oh, is it?
Elena of Avalon?
Yeah, it was.
I guess so.
I'm pretty sure. There was episodes.
Yeah.
Well, we also really liked Curious George.
Oh, yeah, we loved that.
Curious George.
We have the books too. I think we still have them.
Do you think you liked the cartoon because you had the books, or was it like you had the cartoon and then you had the books?
We had the cartoon.
We
So you
had the
just have both.
cartoon first, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there a time of your life where it's that you associate with? So for us, Saturday mornings were all about cartoons. For us growing
Yeah.
And after school.
and after school, it was all about cartoons.
Right after school.
And here's the thing, you couldn't just go, oh, I'm going to watch an episode of, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse anytime I want. You probably know this already. But you had to be in front of your TV at 8 a.m. on Saturday morning, or you would miss Scooby-Doo
That
or
week's
whatever.
cartoon.
Only time we could watch it.
That's
There
it.
was no other time to see it.
What do you think about that? How do you feel about that?
That would be sad.
It was sad.
It was sad.
I like choosing what I watch whenever I want better.
Is there something that you watch now? A cartoon that you watch now? What?
Yep.
Okay, JD, what cartoon?
It's called Bluey.
Oh yeah, I know Bluey.
Yeah,
Sure.
these Australian dogs.
Yeah. Did you watch the most recent episode?
Yeah, and it's really. I like that one.
Yeah.
I've watched it fully. Willa hasn't watched it fully yet. I've watched the whole
We've watched a lot of
We've
it.
watched the whole entire series for the newest episode. The second episode of season 4. Willa hasn't finished it.
Uh-oh.
I
Hey,
finished,
don't give anything away.
but you haven't.
No, I haven't seen it.
And so what makes you like it? What's good about the
Because
show?
Yeah.
not all of it is kid stuff. Because in the newest episode, Bluey's godmother is
Without giving anything away. Don't give anything away. Willa hasn't seen it yet.
it's no.
I've seen it.
Oh, you have seen
No,
it.
she's
Oh,
seen
well, then go ahead.
it. No, it's not
Oh, okay.
a spoiler, but
I get it.
Bluey's godmother is getting married. Her
Oh.
uncle.
So that's
What?
Yeah.
So that's adult. Getting married is an adult thing. We hope.
Sure.
Generally.
Yeah. I would think.
Bluey's godmother is getting married to Bluey's uncle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
His godmother
okay.
is just
Spoiler alert.
the mom's friend.
Did you not know?
Oh.
James spoiled it all way before.
So, Willa, if you're going to go watch a cartoon, what is the go-to cartoon for you?
Bluey, honestly, everybody,
Really?
a lot of people in my class and in our school, they love Bluey. Like, they have shirts and they talk about it. So, I mean, nobody I know, like, really hates and despises.
Oh, that's good. That's nice. Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I hear it's a really great show and that you can watch it. Adults can watch it and kids can
Yeah,
watch it.
I think it's like a show that everybody can watch.
So you have
That's
not
nice.
hit an age, Willa, and I'm assuming you haven't, JD, but you have not hit an age where it's like you feel like, well, maybe cartoons, I'm too old for cartoons. Or
No one's too old for cartoons.
no one is.
Yeah, I like that.
True.
Well,
A
we
lot
all
of-
think that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know if there was like,
I'm going to name some cartoons and you tell me if you've heard of them. Adventure Time.
Maybe.
Maybe it kind
Uh,
of rings a bell.
the Adventures of Gumball.
Oh, I've
I
heard
think
that
it's
one.
Gumball.
My nephews,
that
nephews
one.
love that one.
Yeah.
Their favorite.
I don't like it.
They love it.
You don't like it. The Gumball? You don't like that one or you don't like
Kind of
Adventure
like
Time?
it. Well, I like it. I just haven't seen a lot of it.
well, you guys mentioned Mickey Mouse. Personally, I never was into any Mickey Mouse cartoon, any Disney cartoon. I was never into it all. Like, I knew about Disney World and Disneyland and knew about, Pluto and Goofy and these guys walking around in their costumes at those places, but I never watched any of those cartoons. What I loved was Bugs Bunny, Warner Brothers cartoons. Do y'all know anything about Bugs Bunny?
No.
Yes.
So no,
Go.
you've never heard of Bugs Bunny. Willa,
Do you
know
like
about
Bugs Bunny?
No.
No.
I mean,
Not your thing.
a lot of it, but I like Disney cartoons a lot.
Is there any cartoon that you've ever seen that you were like, what? How is this a cartoon?
Like, what's the weirdest
Or like,
cartoon
this
you've
is
ever
too
seen,
weird.
JD?
SpongeBob.
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 I still
Oh.
really like it, but it's just really weird.
Yeah.
That's okay. You can like it. It's weird.
And
I like that you raised your hand, by the way.
scientists have proven that like Nickelodeon, mostly SpongeBob can like make you dumber. It was in the,
Oh.
no, it's in our TFK. Like it's called Time for Kids. It was in our TFK.
Wow. What about you?
That-
What's a weird one for you?
Cartoon that's like, oh man, I can't believe that's even real.
Like, in a good way? Or
Either way,
Anyway.
anyway.
Like in an awesome way or a weird way or a
Or like a
anything.
terrible way.
A
Like,
good way is Bluey. Because
Bluey.
it's
You love it so
amazing.
much.
I think the Gumball one is weird.
it's really weird.
Okay. Yeah, it's weird.
My nephew-
Weird characters.
Constantly
Yeah.
thinking of it. Would
Yeah.
you think it was weird if there was a cartoon about
A-
lawyers trying small
Lawyers?
claims court cases?
Yeah, like
Well,
for kids?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Good to know. I'm going to
Yeah.
revise my pitch.
Yeah, even though I want to be a lawyer. Yeah.
So you wouldn't want to see a cartoon-based lawyer.
I don't think kids want to watch lawyers.
Okay, how about this? What if it wasn't in the courtroom, but it was like when they were talking to other lawyers, like outside the courtroom about like, yeah, man, that case was crazy. Judge McClanahan, I think she's like been drinking some wacky juice today, and she is not operating.
For kids.
They call it wacky juice. That's what makes it kids.
Weirder. Weirder.
I'll watch one episode to see how it is. But I
Thank
wanna
you,
see
JD.
it.
I'm gonna ask you about cartoons. I'm gonna want to play this game. I'm gonna tell you some cartoons. Two of them are real, and one
I was going to do this too.
is made up.
Yeah.
And you have to
Okay.
tell me which one is real and which one I'm just making up. Okay. The first one is called Inch High Private Eye. And it's about a private investigator who's only 1 inch high, and he solves mysteries
I
every
think
week.
I heard you talk.
Okay, so that's the first one. The
Okay,
second
that's number one.
is called Mr. Magoo.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
about, you know that one.
Okay.
Okay, let me come up with a different one. The second one is called Shark Monster. And it's about a shark who's actually was created in a lab by a mad scientist. And the shark, he was built to kill things, to kill people, but he instead just wants to find love. That's Shark Monster. That's the second one. So far we've got
Inside Private
Inside
Eye.
Private Eye, Shark Monster, and the third one is Jabberjaw. And that's also about a shark. This shark solves mysteries every week. So it's similar to the Private Eye one, but he has like some friends and stuff, and there's some crimes that go on in the ocean. And every time there is, Jabberjaw has to figure out who committed that crime.
It's the second one because you were pausing a lot. You're like,
Oh, wow.
yeah, like,
Nice.
Yeah.
So Will is related to me. This is the same way I knew
Yeah.
that Keith was, which one Keith was thinking of because of his delivery.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to try it then.
Yeah.
I'm going to try it. Are you ready?
Yeah.
You do a better job.
Here we go. Well, we'll see.
But do you guys remember Jabberjaw?
Sort of.
Oh, I totally do. Yeah. Yeah, it was like a talking shark and his human teenage friends investigate mysteries. All right, here we go. Speaking of that. Okay, which one of these is not real? Scooby-Doo, a talking dog and his human teenage friends investigate mysteries.
that's real.
Of course it
Number 2, Speed Racer, a talking dune buggy and his teenage friends solve mysteries. Or number 3, Turbo Teen, a teenager who turns into a race car, along with his human friends, solves mysteries. Which one is not real? Scooby-Doo, Speed Racer, Turbo Teen.
Turbo Team?
Well, they're all real, actually.
Whoa, you tricked her.
There is this weirdest cartoon called Turbo Teen where this kid, this weirdest thing. Nate, you got to look this up and show them just like he's just a normal kid. And then he goes, and then his hands become wheels. And then he becomes a race car. And then he's got a friend and they hop in the back and they go drive. I guess he drives them around.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And there's another car that's chasing after him. They're all real. These are all real cartoons.
Speaking of, I won't do the quiz anymore, but since we're on this topic of like cartoons you didn't think were real, I was just looking it up. And we were talking earlier about like live action stuff that became cartoons. There was a cartoon called The Robonic Stooges that were like the Three Stooges. They were like the Three Stooges.
That's insane.
And were they robots?
They were cyborg superheroes. Based on the Three.
But they were the Three Stooges. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
And so like Mo would extend his hand and it would go across the room and it would, slap Larry.
Yeah, did you girls watch Mr. Gadget? What's that?
Inspector Gadget.
Oh. Seems a little old too. Yeah. Inspector Gadget.
Probably a little.
That had some reasons.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, girls, for coming on the.
Thank you for your insights.
It was so nice to meet you.
A shout out to that you love, or you made us think of Bluey. You work for Bluey,
all right?
Don't you?
Yeah.
I will.
For the publicity, the Bluey publicity department.
And Big City Green.
Big City Greens.
Is that a restaurant, salad place?
I guess I don't know, but there's like it's about these.
I love the garlic parmesan dressing.
Yeah.
Can I speak?
Yes.
It's about these like this guy named Cricket. He's a kid. Him and his family. His skin is yellow.
Yeah.
He has an older sister named Tilly. Her skin is also yellow.
Mm-hmm.
Are we supposed to guess if this is real?
No, this is real.
It's real.
She's just explaining it.
And,
this is real, yeah.
The dad, the mom is divorced too.
Well, thank you to our beautiful nieces, Willa and Jaydee, for being excellent, our only so far representatives of Gen Alpha.
Our first and last. Yes, please do.
Because you can't be beat.
Actually, a Gen Z.
Oh, you're like
true?
A baby Gen
you're
Z.
Born like what?
Little baby Gen. So one Gen Z and one Gen Alpha.
2011. Okay.
That's pretty
So
good.
it's like 2010 is the cutoff?
No, she's a 20.
I'm asking what the cutoff is.
But if she's born in 2011.
I think it's 2012.
So 2010 would be the cutoff for then, if you're born before 2010, then, after 2010. Oh.
We're playing fast and loose with the rules anyway of these generations.
Everything's fine.
Isn't the cutoff like 2012? I mean 2012.
The main difference is there's no appointment viewing.
Yeah.
And it's not, I think because of that, it's not as prevalent. It's not as...
Yeah, well, there's so many different things to watch too. I mean, it's just so much. But I do like that they both know Bluey. They both they have common things, like they both watched Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
Yeah.
Which is kind of nice too.
Yeah.
So they have watched similar shows. Of course, they're from the same household, so I guess that makes sense.
Fair.
If they have maybe a single TV.
Well, we did it, y'all.
Yeah.
We did it.
We did. We've solved for Gen X.
Weirdest cartoons possible. I was going to do a quiz, but I was going to say Captain Caveman, a caveman for the police department.
Yeah. I forgot. Is that what it is? He worked for the police department?
Like
he did.
It's definitely a solved crime situation.
He's a superhero, but they sort of bring him in like for certain, and he's a captain I assume at the police department. Then I was going to say Heathcliff, a animated cat on the streets, alley cat.
Okay.
Life.
Yep.
And then I was going to make one up, but I don't have that
There
one.
was
I
Am the Greatest Muhammad Ali cartoon.
What?
Speaking of
what? When you did that, when you said Jabberjaw, I had that down here as a thing. I was like, they're gonna think Jabberjaw isn't real.
Live to animate the Jackson 5, and the 5 was on the cartoon was the number 5.
Okay.
F5IVE.
Well, just the number 5 IVE
instead of an F.
Yeah.
There's a Return to the Planet of the Apes cartoon.
I feel like I remember that. Yeah. That sounds familiar to me. Planet of the Apes as a cartoon sounds familiar.
What was that? Go back.
Which one?
The Bubonic Stooges. Oh, the Robonic Stooges.
I talked about.
I thought I said the Bubonic.
There was like a...
I do remember that
there was like a Fred
show.
Oh, you do?
I do, but I just thought it was Three Stooges. I didn't know that it was called the Robonic
There was a Flintstone-esque cartoon, but instead of caveman times, it was Roman times.
It's called the Roman
Holidays.
I remember that lion.
Wow.
The lion, yeah. Did the lion giggle?
I think you're confusing with
Help! It's the Hair Bear Bunch.
I remember. I didn't see it, but I remember it.
I remember
the Hair Bear Bunch.
We're gonna get into all these.
I know. I feel like Hair Bear Bunch is similar to the Care Bears and all that kind of groups of like Smurfs. Oh, emotion.
Another banger, Matt. Way to go.
Yeah. Oh, we need to pick a thing. I'm picking for myself, but I've looked in. Let's see if this is okay. The topic is cruising in the hood.
Cruising, like cruising, like Stand By Me style, cruising in the neighborhood, walking around in a pack, like
without supervision, just like on your own,
wandering.
Or literally the cruising part.
We'll see you next time on Solve for Gen X. Special thanks to Jaydee and Willa for being on the show today.
Solve for Gen X is mixed and edited by Nate Starkey.
The theme song was written by Nate Starkey and Matt Vogel and performed by the Mighty Weaklings.
Our podcast art was created by Dave Hulteen at davehulteendesign.com.
You can find Solve for Gen X wherever you listen to podcasts.
And it's also available to watch on YouTube.
Just search Solve for Gen X.
If you're so inclined, please rate and review our show. It really helps our visibility.
Or whatever.
Whatever.
Solve for Gen X is a Welcome Matt and Married Nate and Ashley production.